There's nothing better than getting out on the hills on a big, long, epic e-bike ride, but there's a few things that might catch you out along the way. Here's our top few mistakes that might catch you out. When you're out all day, it's all about power management and looking after your battery. I suggest trying to stay in eco, maybe switching it up into trail if needed. But if you don't think eco gives you enough boost, then I suggest just trying with your battery turned off. Eco gives you a hell of a boost when you go into it. But you really need to stay away from boost and turbo. If you go into those modes, your battery isn't going to last long at all. Now, there's no point in carrying around that big heavy battery in your backpack for the whole ride if you haven't remembered the keys to remove it. Likewise, if you're carrying tubes and you haven't brought a pump to repair those punctures, think about every single scenario on the way and don't get caught out. Before you head out on your big ride, remember to go to the loo. Needing a nature poo out on the trail isn't a good look, and it won't kick things off good using moss or leaves to wipe you behind, nor will a nettle sting on your bum. Remember, visit the loo before you need a poo. When you're out all day, it's not just your battery and your bike that you need to think about. You need to think about yourself, and that means staying on top of hydration and also eating well along the way. When I'm out for a big ride, I like to take a Camelback with me full of water, so the bladder's full right to the top. I also take a reserve drink bottle as well, just in case something was to happen to that, a leak or something like that, or I take a wrong turn along the way. Also, I take a load of food with me. It's also really important to stay on top of hunger as well, because if hunger strikes on that big ride, you'll be wishing you brought more of this stuff. When you're out on the trails, you often come across really cool features, some that might be on the edge of your abilities. Now is definitely not the time to be pushing those limits, either you or your bike. You need to make your bike last for the whole ride, and you need to make yourself last. If I hit this drop, I could risk crashing, going over the bars, breaking a mech or something like that. To the side's a perfectly good rollerball line, so I'm going to take the rollerball line rather than risking ruining my bike and meaning a big push 50k back to home. When you're out in the hills mountain biking, it can often throw a spanner in the works at the worst time possible. In your riding pack, you really need to have tools. If you've got no tools, you're definitely going to be caught out. At a minimum, you're going to need a multi-tool. You're going to need inner tubes, even if you're tubeless, remember, because it's not 100% reliable. You're going to need a pump to pump the inner tubes up, a first aid kit, and things like chain links and little bits, cables, things like that. If you're in a group ride, it's really important to speak to those other riders to make sure you're not all carrying the same kit around, because you just need to be covered for every eventuality along the ride. Before you even hit the trails, it's a really good idea to have a look over your bike as well. Just do a basic M check, starting at the rear wheel, moving up to your saddle, down to the motor and the crank, moving up to the headset, the bar and stem, then down to the front wheel. It just creates a nice M shape on the bike. It's really important to check for worn out bits and parts that might fail. Things like the chain, loose bearings, worn brake pads, split tires. Make sure you change it before you head out. Being caught out by the weather on a big ride really sucks, and it's really important you have the right gear in your bag. I suggest at a minimum you have a lightweight waterproof jacket, something that will crumple down into nothing tucked away in your riding bag. Also, down below, you definitely need to be wearing padded shorts or a chamois liner. That way you can avoid all that shock coming through your saddle and keep things a little bit more comfortable down there. You can even lube these things up with chamois butter as well to help things slide around, but that's definitely up to you. Don't forget to remove your underwear before you put these things on too. One of the most important bits of kit that you need to be taking out on your ride is your mobile phone. It can literally be a lifesaver. Don't forget, it needs to be fully charged, and if you are using it as a GPS device, it might be using a lot more battery than you'd expect. So it might be worth sticking a power bank in your bag, or if you're lucky enough to have a USB connection on your bike, make sure that thing's fully charged and there if you need it. So there you go, that's one of my top big ride mistakes, as the old saying goes, fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. And that definitely applies to e-biking out on those big rides. Make sure you're ready for it. But don't forget, if you've enjoyed today's video, you can subscribe to EMBN by clicking the globe in the middle of the screen. If you want to stick around and watch a little bit more to see how far one of these e-bikes can go, check this video out over here. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed today's video. Drop some comments in the box below. See you in the next one.